What's up, everyone? Aiden here once again, back at it with another video. And today I want to show you how to take apart one of those Arcless Weldtech 101, Weldtech 108, and the Zingear 268S pull chains. Now, if you have a Zingear 208 chain, like the 208S, 208S6, or the 208D, then they're not worth your time taking it apart to repair because they're riveted. It can be said the same with the Santa pull chains, which are riveted, and the Jinyu pull chains. However, if you have a brittle plastic like the KTE and the Wu Pin chains, then they're also not worth your time repairing them. It's more worth your time replacing the entire pull chain, and they can be harder to take apart too. So, I'll show you how to take apart one of those pull chains that can be easily taken apart by these low clips. Before you take apart one of these pull chains, you want to take a Phillips head screwdriver or a flathead screwdriver to remove the switch cap or the switch housing to gain access to the pull chain. Sometimes you have to remove the light kit first. And then you want to take a pick, like a paperclip, or just a mini screwdriver to get the contacts out. So this, for example, if you poke like from here, that's how you get the wires freed from the pull chain. So once you free the wires out of the pull chain, however you want to remove the pull chain nut to do this. That's what you want to do first. Then you put your pick inside to get the wires out of the chain. But in this example, because I don't have a fan to demonstrate, I will show you how to take this apart. So, there's these plastic clips that hold the casing in place. So, you want to carefully pry it off slowly. And once you get it with your groove, gently pull it down without careful about taking it apart. Try not to hold on to the one with the clamps in there because they can snap back in. So if it snaps back in, try to pull it again, pull it out again. Yeah, sometimes these can get a little annoying, so try to hold on to the sides where you don't have the plastic clips holding it. And slowly pry it open. And then get to the last clip. However, you want to open it up a little before you get freed. And now that's how you take apart the chain. So with the chain removed, now we can get access to the spindle. Now you want to pop that open. So you want to release that plastic gently. Now you want to get the spring in place. Don't drop that like I did. So. Want to take the spindle out, and you want to keep the spring in place. So this is one way only. To get into the spindle where the bead is attached to, you want to have all the beads flat and then pry up on top so you see the beads are attached to the top of the pull chain. So it does take a few practice, a few tries to get it off. But once you get it off, you know when it's coming out. And now, with the pull chain taken out, you can pop in your new bead. However, since I am reusing the old one for demonstration purposes, I'll show you how to reinstall the bead. Now, to reinstall the bead or just pop in your new one, slide it in, your new bead, all the way down. And pop it in where the last bead will hold in place. Pop it in firmly. Make sure it's firmly tight. Sometimes you want to take a smaller screwdriver. Pull tight. Pull it to make sure it doesn't come off. If any copper contacts should wear, you can bend them back. If you're like bend inwards like this, you can just push it in back to where it's supposed to go. To reassemble the pull chain, you will look at this cover plate and you'll see this wedge. This will stop the spindle from going past that pull chain. So this is one way only, so you want to line this spindle up to the spring on top, and then wind the chain enough to the point where it can bind up easily. Hold it down and snap the cover plate back in. This one's the most annoying part when it comes to reassembling one of these chains. Hold it down, put your cover plate back in. Sometimes you want up a little further enough to hold the chain in place, so get that plastic in, hold it down, get that chain stuck in place. However, this one's a bit tedious, so I'll show you the easier way how to get this to work. I never really had great luck with pull chains like this, but I never had great luck with popping it in the first try, so to get this to work, wind it up. Now you want to be very careful. Wind it up enough first. Pop the plastic back in to bind that up. may take some practice. This one's hard for me to get this back in. This is the tedious and an annoying part. Is getting it to line up. And then you want to use your Phillips head screwdriver. This pull chain to line back up. And then once you are sure that the chain works, snap the cover back on. It takes a few tries to get that right, because I never got that right the first time when I tried to get the spindle to work. So I've always used a flathead screwdriver to make it work. I have to bind it up first, then pull it slowly, and that's how I get it to work. So yeah. And now that completes the pull chain reassembly. Now, to get the wires back onto the pull chain, I should have mentioned this earlier in the video, but you always want to make sure to write down which wire goes to which on each of its pull chain position. Now, not all pull chains are going to be created equally, so if you forgot which wire goes to which on each of its specific pull chain position, I'll write this down in the description below of which wire goes to which on each of its pull chain position on its specific pull chain. So, I'll use a pick as an example to show how the wire gets pushed in. So, here's the copper contact, here's the wire. Technically not a wire, but it's basically a mini screwdriver I'm using as a demonstration purposes. So when I push the wires in, you can now see there's a copper contact that will hold the wires into place. And that's how the wires get pushed in. The copper contact will technically hold the wire in place. So once you got the wires back into the pull chain, you can now feed the chain back into the switch housing and then reinstall your pull chain nut. And then tighten it down. Now you want to test that to make sure it works. Once you're sure that it works, you can now take your flat and Phillips head screwdriver and or Phillips or flathead screwdriver and then reinstall the switch housing or switch cap. And that's about it. You have successfully repaired a speed pull chain under $6 to $7 or more, because that's what a pull chain costs, like $6 to $7 or more. But if you don't feel comfortable doing this, do not attempt to do this unless you know what you're doing. So that's about it with repairing a speed pull chain on your ceiling fan. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions, comment below and I'll try my best to explain better.